Hey guys, so it is day 244. This is actually part 3 of day 243, but I just didn't get to finish it yesterday. So this is part 3, day 244, and this is what is going to bring us completely up to date from the hiatus that occurred between, I think, day 67 or 69 all the way to today or yesterday when I started redoing these videos. The last time I chatted with you in part 2, I was talking about this new app that I am working on and that I'm currently working on, and it is this app that I'm building for Instagram. It's actually something, while I was on Instagram promoting myself, doing my whole branding thing, I realized that, there was a lot of important things that I was doing to help build my brand, and one of the things that I was studying up on with Instagram is that you need to be using hashtags, right? So started using more hashtags like in the beginning of when I was promoting myself on Instagram, and I could do research, see which hashtags were doing or which hashtags were popular, which hashtags were being used a lot, and which hashtags of those that were popular that that connects with my brand. So at the time I was doing a lot of content on Instagram about me working remotely, so I would do a lot of pictures about me working in like different areas. My whole remote office Fridays, I would take a bunch of pictures when I was out like in the woods or near the beach or something and take a lot of photos, and that's what a lot of my content is on Instagram. And so I would be using hashtags like remote office, digital nomad, entrepreneur life, a bunch of other, a bunch of hashtags that I found that were very popular that resonated with what I was trying to produce content for. But the thing is once I was using those, I had no idea if they were actually helping me or not. I just slapped those tags onto every post without really ever thinking like, are these actually benefiting me in any way? Are they helping me get discovered? Are they helping me get more likes? And that was a question that I went out to search for on the interwebs, if there was any tool that could help me gain more information or statistics about that, and there really wasn't much. There would be tools that could tell me, I use this hashtag and like this is how many likes I got on that post, but doesn't really say, like, I'd be using maybe 15 or 20 hashtags on a particular post, so I really couldn't attribute those likes to any individual hashtag. I just knew that when I used those 20, I would get more likes than if I didn't. So I really wanted to know which of those 20 hashtags or 30 hashtags that I was using for each post got me likes, got me attention. And so I went on this journey of trying to figure out if I could find something that did that. There was not, and so I figured maybe I should build one. And so that is the app that I'm working on right now. It's called Smarthash. It's going to be a tool that allows people to find out which hashtags that they're using are actually giving them real results. So which ones are actually getting them likes. And it uses an analysis. It doesn't use some weird statistical method or algorithm that I just created. It uses this form of analysis that a lot of businesses use called regression analysis. So it's like, it's legit, and it works. And it's regression analysis is a way of attributing several independent variables for one outcome variable. So the outcome variable is how many likes you get, and then the independent variables would be each hashtag that you use. And through data analysis, it determines which one of those hashtags or which groups of hashtags within those are benefiting you. So that is what I'm working on right now. I'm actually really excited. Along with those analytics, it's also pretty helpful because it gives you can save off your groups of hashtags as a set, and then you can have like one-click copies from the app. So instead of going from a note where you have all of your hashtags saved, then going, clicking on that, swiping to drag to copy, and then hitting copy and then pasting it, you can just go to this Smarthash app and then just click a button on a one-click copy that copies all of the hashtags, and then you can paste it onto Instagram in your description. And also what I'm including, I'm giving you guys a lot of information about how it actually works, but there's going to be, along with the one-click copy, there's going to be a thing called Smart Copy. And what Smart Copy does is it selects a specified, it's not really random, but it's a specified selection of hashtags from your set to copy and paste it onto your description, because it needs to divide the hashtags that you have into these little subsets for testing. So it's kind of doing like A/B testing and uses that for the data analysis to figure out which hashtags are actually giving you results. So the Smart Copy is it copying a smaller selection of your hashtags so that it can be using that to compare with other of your posts that are also using Smart Copy selection to determine which ones are actually giving you results. So that's what I'm working on right now. I've been working on that for, I think, since it's the December 15th. I've been working on that since the beginning of November, and it's going pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm working on. So this is the app. I've got a selection of hashtags here. The colors mean that those tags are actually producing likes for me, and the different colors tell you what the variability of how helpful they actually are. So if it's more red, then it's giving you more likes, and if it's from orange to yellow, then it's still helpful, but it's not it's not as helpful, or it doesn't give you as much likes as the other ones in red. And then the ones in gray, it just they don't give you any help, or it just hasn't had enough information to tell you whether they're helpful or not. And then, as you can see, you've got copy all tags. You can Smart Copy. You could also select. Sorry for the shaky cam. Select several of them that you want to copy, and then you can just say copy selected. Copy selected. So you can go down your list of sets of hashes and select a couple and just say I only want to use those, or you can copy all in each individual section, or you can do the Smart Copy so that it can use that information to determine if those hashtags are performing for you. So that's what I've been working on. I'm really excited. I'm using Instagram right now. I've been telling a lot of people on Instagram about it, and I'm getting a lot of buzz there. So I'm kind of doing it differently in the way that I used to be doing it when I built an app. I'm simultaneously building the app and producing content about me building the app on Instagram, so that I can get people excited about it, get people aware about it, while still growing my following on Instagram, while still producing content on my websites, so that I can get all of this, attention and eyeballs while I'm building this app. Kind of why I'm doing this video also, so that people can know about it before it's even out. And then I have a few ideas about launch. I'm going to talk about that when it gets a little bit closer to launch. Talk about what my plans are, why I'm going to be doing them, and to really help this app do very well in the very beginning. But that's where I'm at right now. You guys are literally caught up the entire way. So that's just part 3. This is what I've been working on. I can't wait for the next video to talk a little bit about when I get closer to launch. Maybe there'll be another update in between that, but you guys are completely caught up now. This is day 244 of 365 days of entrepreneurship. All right, guys. Okay, apparently that wasn't all. I completely missed this entire huge part that I wanted to make sure that I talked about that I didn't. But during, I think it was either in September, which was a few months ago, I had re-looked at where my savings were. So at the very beginning of this, 365 days of entrepreneurship, I was working, I was saving up money so that I could be off of work for 365 days. Well, it turns out, sometime during September, after I was spending a bunch of money on ads, I was burning through a little bit more money than I was expecting, and it turned out that I wasn't going to make it completely back to April. So I started in April, and it wasn't going to have enough money to make it all the way back to next April 2017. I actually just had enough money to make it to the end of the year, so in December, which I'm already in. I was gonna have to basically, if none of this stuff was working, I would have to get a job again in the beginning of January. And so I was in that position in September, and there was a lot of discussion between me and my wife about what we were going to do. I was making a little bit of money, or I was doing pretty well with Iron Hud, but it wasn't enough to pay the bills. So what happened, interestingly enough, was I during this entire time of me being on doing this 365 days of entrepreneurship, I was still staying with good connections with my old boss at my old company that I was working for. And I made it a point to leave that company in good terms. I really respected my old boss, and I really enjoyed working with him. And during, I think it was in the beginning of November, when it was getting really close for me to think about going back to work, I actually did start applying for jobs again. So there was a few companies that I applied for work to go back to full time. It kind of sucked. I thought I was going to have to end this whole thing early through the whole midst of this. And it turns out that I was speaking to my old boss about trying to, get back into work, and I've mentioned to him that it sucked that I still wanted to continue. I felt like I had some stuff sort of cooking, but I just didn't have enough time, and I burned through a lot of money, kind of my own mistakes. But I was burning through money a little bit faster than I was expecting. And I was gonna say he offered me a part-time position, but more what really happened was that I went to him and asked him if I could come back to the company and work part-time. And what's interesting, I think, about that whole decision and thinking about it was that I could have just said I was done. I could have just gave up and just said, to hell with all the stuff that I'm working on. It's done. It's finished. I'm getting near to the end. I just got to go back to work. And I could have went back full time to work at the company that I was working for. I could have went and earned a ton of money working for somewhere else, in Silicon Valley or in another tech company. I could have done that. I could have just called it quits and said I was finished. But I think I took, for me, it felt like the hardest route of being humble and saying I need to eat shit again. I need to, put my ego in check, and I need to set it aside because I'm not done with. I didn't want to be done with it, and I, if this was like a scene in the movie, it would be me crawling back to the company that I left, and I had to be okay with that. I had to to put my ego in the check and say, yes, that is the way it looks. And it's not even the way it looks, it is the way it is. But I need to do the thing that I think is going to put me into the best position that is going to still make me succeed in what I want to do. So I took a part-time job back to the company that I was working for. I crawled back to the company that I was working for and asked them if I could go part-time. And, luckily enough, my old boss was okay with that, and he gave me a part-time position. And, to me, I think that's just something really important that I talked about with you guys today, because you need to make the hard decisions. That was a difficult decision, and I think you need to put your ego in check and just don't really care what other people think or say or what it looks like. You just need to do what you think is going to help you put you into the best position to succeed. And I knew that if I went back full time, I had to stop whatever stuff that I was working on, and I couldn't continue. If I tried to force it to keep going, I would have ended up having to close shop in the beginning of January, even if I was trying to squeeze enough the rest of that savings that I had. And I knew that the best thing that I could do, the best option, was to get a part-time job so that I could augment the income that I was making from my apps to pay the bills and to sacrifice that extra time working back part-time so that I could still continue and really, I would have to even work even harder on my time off on my own stuff to build what I wanted. And I knew that was the best decision that I could make, even though it wasn't the most popular or the best looking or what have you. So I think that's kind of important that you guys think about, even not just that too. I mean, there was a time when I was going into the whole social media thing, put apps on the table because they weren't working for me. There was things that I need to learn about what would help me when I built my next app. And so I took a break on it, did this whole social media things, built a website, wrote content, did all of this stuff, and people thought I was insane. People were like, what are you talking about? You're building apps. You have a successful app, Ironhud. Like, just keep creating more apps. Like, why are you trying to do this thing with social media that you're completely brand new in and you have no idea? Well, because I knew it would help me. I sucked at it in the very beginning. Everybody sucks when they first start something, you know what I mean? And everybody was telling me, like, what are you doing? You're crazy for leaving your app stuff. You should just keep continuing to do that. Hey, you should build this app, build that app. Well, it's not going to help. If I just did that, I would have just been spinning my wheels, circling, keeping, still creating apps, thinking that something would magically happen and change, and then realize when it comes out, like, nobody's there to look at them. So I think you need to not think about what's most popular. You need to not think about what people think are crazy. You really need to just think about what is going to help you and to put you into the best position to succeed. And even if it's not popular, even if it's not what you're good at, if you've got people, you could hire somebody to help you reduce or to help increase your non-strengths. But I'm not quite there yet. I don't have enough money to hire somebody, so I need to be the one to do that. I need to be my marketing department. I need to be my sales department. I need to put into the effort into those things to put myself into the best position to succeed. So that's kind of really what my rant is on that. I hope that's helpful information for you guys, because I want you guys to succeed too. So that now is the completion of part 3 of day 244. All right, I'll catch you guys later.